Hello guys and welcome back to the Fortune Hotel, and today we are talking about episode 7. There are 4 couples left on this show and only a matter of time before the finale kicks in, and there are only 3 couples left. Honestly, this show is absolutely fascinating. I am enjoying every single second of it, and I gotta say, every single episode seems to be getting more and more dramatic, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. So without much further ado, let's get into the video and let's get started, shall we? Joanne and Will have the early checkout card. Jay and Cheris decided to give them the early checkout card, which I think was, again, a really poor decision on their part. I think they need to start getting a little bit more strategic than just giving it to who they want to go home, because then that hands them the power to send whoever they want home if they're not in last place. It should have been Tommy and Scott who got the early checkout card. I don't know. I feel like there's just more gameplay here than, oh, give it to the person you want to go home or give it to the weakest player. Give it to one of your allies and then your allies can work out what's going on from there. Because Tommy and Scott could have always given it to Jay and Cherish, and then Jay and Cherish could decide who they want to go home. It's just, there's more gameplay here than, oh, let's send this person home because we don't like them currently. So the next day, they obviously had a massive talk around the table at breakfast. Will apologised for upsetting Sam and Aisha for basically what happened the previous day at the Lady Luck bar with the whole give us the card so we can send someone home. This is when an argument broke out over fair game and fair play. How are you willing to win this money? Are you willing to lie, deceive and backstab, or are you just willing to play the game and see how it goes for you? Will and Joanne have very much taken the first one. Not even that badly. They just made an alliance to make sure that they had a stronger chance of getting towards the end. Which, I'm not being funny, it worked out in their favour. And I'm sorry, but Jay and Cherish and Tommy and Scott have done the exact same thing, albeit just not as soon as Michael and Adam and Joanne and Will. They were arguing the toss over whether it's fair to play the game like that, and I was just astounded because I was like, have these guys never actually seen a TV show before? Have they never watched things like The Traitors, or have they never watched, I don't know, like Survivor or Big Brother? Like there's a game to be played if there's money at stake. There's no point playing nice and, oh well, we'll just see how it turns out, because that's not how you end up winning the money. That's how you lose the money, if anything. So I did kind of take issue with that, because I just think it's a very shit excuse, and I don't know. It just didn't work for me, and it really did feel like Joanne and Will were coming under fire for just playing the game the way it's been intended to play. If you wanna, it's like when it comes to the early seasons of Big Brother US, when it was very much sort of like, oh, well, why are you playing the game? Why are you playing the game? Why are you putting me up? Like, why are you putting me up? Because you're a strong competitor. Yeah, but you should get rid of the weak competitor. No, if you're a strong competitor, get rid of them. I'm sorry. It's just how the game needs to be played. And it really does wind me up when people argue the toss over something so ridiculous and stupid when it actually just doesn't matter, even in the slightest. This is where the gameplay started to happen, because we've now got Jay and Cherish and Tommy and Scott, who have developed quite a bond. They say they're not in an alliance, but they very much are. Let's be honest. I'm sorry. You can't deny that at this point. And then you've got Sam and Aisha, who are kind of lone warriors. And then you've got Joanne and Will, who are very recently bereaved because they've just lost Michael and Adam. So obviously, Joanne and Will are like, yo, Sam and Aisha, come talk to us. Come talk to us. Come into our layer. Come in and let's have a chat. And they basically go, yo, Jay and Cherish, they've already bagged 20k. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. They've already bagged 20k. Sam and Aisha are like, huh? Huh? What? How's this happened? How's this been happening under our noses? And they're like, yo, we got to get rid of one of those pairs, because otherwise we're not making it to the final and you're not winning, period. Like, period. We need to make it an even playing field. And Sam and Aisha are like, this is actually a good point. This is a good point. On the other side, you've got Jay and Cherish telling Tommy and Scott, yo, by the way, we have the money right now. Just to let you know, we have the money right now. And we are willing to give you the money tonight if you guarantee us safety. Because we've given the card to Joanne and Will. We just need to get them to lose. That's all we need to do, is we just need to get them to lose. And you guys need to just place higher than them. That's all that needs to happen. Essentially, they're doing exactly what they had just said earlier they were not doing in this game, which is plotting, scheming, and backstabbing. Is it not just a little bit like a little bit hypocritical? Am I the only one that sees it that way? Am I the only one that like really sees it as them being absolutely hypocritical? Because it is frustrating, and I'm watching it and I'm like, really? Is that how you want to play this? When you're saying to their faces, oh no, we're just playing the game. We're trying to win challenges in order to progress in the game. We're not backstabbing. We're not doing this. And then you're doing this. I mean, fair game. It's your game to play however you want. I just don't like hypocrites. It really does bug me. And especially when you're saying like, when you're fighting the buck over not playing the game and you actually are, it really bugs me. Just own the fact you're playing the game as well. So they decided to do a Mr. and Mrs. room service challenge where basically the pairings had to sit back to back. There would be a question like, who's the biggest whinger? And they both have to write a name on their board of a contestant still in the game. Could be themselves. It could be their partners. It could be another couple in the hotel, etc., etc. And all they had to do was match. I gotta say, this was a very interesting one. A very, very interesting one as well, because some of these questions were juicy and wild. And I thought, why are they not exposing these right now? Because they are so entertaining and so funny. And I'm really, really enjoying it. Cherish and Jay actually won this challenge, which I was surprised about. I really thought Joanne and Will were going to. I thought they were doing considerably better than Cherish and Jay. But apparently it wasn't good enough. Cherish and Jay did outplay them. Outplay. That makes sense. So they got to choose who to swap or peek with. This strategy was interesting. They decided to swap, because they have the money currently. They decided to swap with Sam and Aisha. Give them a taste of the money. I don't know if that was the right idea. I don't know if that was a good idea, because I think what they did later on in the episode was cruel. And this could have been just avoided if they'd have decided to just keep their case. If they'd have just kept their case, they'd have been absolutely fine. Like, actually, nobody would have been able to, like, keep it. No, they'd have been able to keep it without causing harm to people. Yeah, interesting. I would have just peeked. I think if I have the money, I'm just going to peek. I don't need to swap the case. It just doesn't seem worth it, personally. But it is what it is. We are now moving on to the main challenge in this episode. And I gotta say, this one was actually quite entertaining. So, as I just said, I was really hoping that they would expose what people said in that room service challenge. And that's exactly what they did. Because they had to sit on a little yacht and they had to... There were questions that were asked like, oh, who did you think the group voted as the biggest whinger? And then each team would have to vote yay or nay. And then essentially, until there was one couple left, they would answer questions. And then the couple that remained in that round, who basically won that round, got to choose a couple to jump into the ocean and swim back to shore. Which, first of all, swim back to shore is crazy. I really hope that a boat picks them up, because ain't no way I'm swimming back to shore. Like, I can swim, but in the ocean, it's so rough and tough and, not fun. Not fun, even slightly. So yeah, let's just run through some of the interesting little things that they had. Jay was obviously voted the biggest whinger by the group. Joanne was voted the easiest to manipulate. And apparently 7 people out of the 8 voted Will as the biggest snake. Joanne also voted Will as the biggest snake, just as like a Well, I think you are. So essentially after the first round, Joanne and Will pushed Tommy and Scott overboard, essentially forcing them into last swap or first swap at the Lady Luck bar, essentially meaning we're sending you home. Bye bye. Honestly, big power move. I was really happy Will and Joanne won that round and forced them out because it just made the rest of the episode so much sweeter. Then we had Will arguing with Jay. It got a little bit awkward, and I think he called her Gobby, and she was like, rah, no, don't even say that. I was like, this is just getting a little bit much. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Sam and Aisha won the second round, and they decided to dunk or put Joanne and Will into the ocean. And then Cherish and Jay won the final round, essentially giving them the final swap and forcing Sam and Aisha to swim back to shore. I think this is where things started to look really, really bad, because unfortunately, Jay and Cherish were like, rah, we've lost Tommy and Scott. We've lost them. They've gone. They're absolutely gone. There's no way we're winning this. So yeah, we kind of just gotta do our best now. And yeah, they did. They won it and gave themselves the final swap. But obviously they don't have the money currently. So just an absolute nightmare of epic proportions. So in the Lady Luck bar, we have only 4 swaps. I can't believe that we've come down to 4 from 10 swaps. Craziness is what this is. So Tommy and Scott decided to give their case to Jay and Cherish. Interesting swap. I think they were doing that just because they had to swap with somebody. Then Joanne and Will swapped with Tommy and Scott, essentially sealing Tommy and Scott's exit with the early checkout card. I gotta say, Tommy and Scott have been a fantastic duo. And the one challenge where they didn't come top half, they went home. It's just, that's how quickly the tables can turn on you. It's absolutely crazy, but it is the game after all. Sam and Aisha decided to keep their case. As I mentioned, they actually have the money, so it makes sense for them to want to keep the case. But obviously with Jay and Cherish having the final swap, they had a very difficult choice ahead of them. Do we stick with our case and give Sam and Aisha that 10k? Just to keep them sweet a little bit. Or do we take it back and do we get ourselves 30k? Because they've already got 20. So add another 10 to it, that's 30. They're walking away with 30k, regardless of where they come in this competition. That is crazy. That is wild. To me. 30k. Just for swapping a couple of cases. Absolutely. Get me on this show. So yeah, they decided to swap with Sam and Aisha. And you could see Sam and Aisha were like, these bitches. What? Huh? I can't believe you'd backstab me like that. That was absolutely crazy. But unfortunately, that does mean Tommy and Scott have to leave us. And I gotta say, they've had a fantastic journey. They've done really, really well in most of the challenges. There's been some moves made by them that I was like, that's interesting. They are incredibly thick when it comes to following the case, but it is what it is. They didn't end up with any money at the end of this, unfortunately. They're walking away with a nada. But it is what it is. Not really much else to say on the matter. Also, going into the final, there are no more unfortunates. That means that nobody else is going home, which I think is really, really cool. And I'm excited for the final. I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't know who ends up with the money, but I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating regardless. So, without much further ado, thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure to get us there. But until then, without much further ado, I will see you guys later. Keep on ranting. Bye now.